Hey there. Today I want to talk about the Mako method. And if you've heard of the Mako method, you've heard it from me. This is actually my personal framework that I use for building resilience to stress. These are the different actionable strategies that I teach on to help folks navigate stress throughout their days and to have things that they can do no matter where they are to help them build the resilience that they need to navigate their way through stressful experiences that they inevitably will experience. But today I want to talk about how I got there. A lot of folks, when they, see me, and see my trainings, it looks like it's all put together and it's packaged really well and I've had it together forever, but I haven't. And so today I want to talk about that day that I will never forget where I really, found the Mako method and why I started using this approach. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Amanda Muhammad. I'm a mindfulness-based stress management consultant in Dallas, Texas, and I facilitate trainings around how to build resilience to the stress that you are experiencing. And I also train people like teachers and mental health professionals and police officers and folks who work alongside very stressed populations in how to, one, manage their unique stress, and two, how to teach these practices and different approaches to the people that they serve. Okay. But today I want to talk about how I discovered the Mako method. So when I used to facilitate trainings, when I first got started, honestly, when I left my job to pursue this career, this was not the vision that I necessarily had for myself. But what ended up happening was I started getting asked to facilitate a stress resilience training. I didn't necessarily know what I was going to put in it. Like, I jumped on Google and I was like, what goes into a stress management training? And honestly, I used to facilitate a very stuffy training. Like, it was like, drink more water, go to sleep, take a nap. And, I'll never forget being in front of a woman who had 4 kids. She was a service-based professional. And, alongside navigating some other really challenging things, she was a caretaker for her mother that was sick. And, she was like, I don't have 8 hours to sleep. I don't have time for a yoga class. And it really hit me that, like, a lot of the approaches that we take towards stress management, one, are very privileged, but two, for the people that I'm working with, because I work with a lot of companies and teachers, folks are busy. And they needed actionable strategies. They needed things that they could quickly access and use to help manage their stress. And further, when I would look at the audience when I was facilitating my trainings, I would just remember there would be these parts where, like, folks' like eyes would just like kind of glaze over. And for me, as a facilitator and as somebody who's super interactive and highly engaging and all this stuff, to see those moments where people were just like, that was really hard for me. And so I remember reaching a breaking point, and I had came home from facilitating a training. And even though I got raving reviews and great feedback, I was like, this isn't right. I was just like, this isn't how I don't want to spend, many more days facilitating trainings like this, or I'm going to burn out, because I can't watch people's eyes glaze over. I can't continue to feel bored in my trainings, and I can't continue to meet people like that really needed a different kind of resource for managing their stress, and to feel like what I was providing for them was not something that they could really use. And so I remember lying down right over there on my carpet, and I was like laid out. I ordered Chinese food. I had binge watched Sex and the City. And I just remember, like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, I'm going to burn out. And I don't know what I'm going to do, because I left my job and, pursued this dream, and things just like, this sucks. Right. And so I remember sitting there and I asked myself, okay, what's going well in the trainings? And I would play the trainings back through my head, and I recognized a couple of significant parts of my trainings where people were just on the edge of their seat. And they were really into it, and they had a lot of fun. And then right after it, I would say something or like have a part of the training that was just like dull. But I paid attention to those parts, and I said, what do they have in common? Right. And I looked at what those underlying things were that these practices had in common. And what it was that they actually changed the way that you can process and perceive stressful information, and they are accessible. They are things that folks can do no matter where they are. They don't have to pay to go to a yoga class. They don't have to have, 2 hours to do it. These are actionable strategies that they can do throughout the day that can actually make a significant difference, right? And so then I started to play with, okay, this is a good start. Like, what are those other practices? Like, what else do I do? What else can go into this that goes alongside this? Things that people can do throughout the day and things that have been proven, evidence-based practices and strategies that have been proven to change the way that we process and perceive stressful information. Knowing that if we can change the way that we process and perceive that stressful information, we can ultimately change the way that we respond to it, right? And so I had to get really, kind of into it and really figure out what were those other things that I could kind of throw into here and that I can teach on that were actually going to help people, that would be enjoyable, that I could have fun with, and that could ultimately serve and help folks change the way that they manage their stress, the way that they respond to their stress, and to help them actually build the resilience required to bounce back from stressful situations, especially when they are in these really demanding roles and work alongside other very stressed people. And so I started to play with that and looking at what are these things that can help folks begin to respond to the stress that they're experiencing instead of just reacting, right? And so that's exactly what I came up with the Mako method. The Mako method is these 5 evidence-based strategies that have been proven to change the way that we process and perceive stressful information, and ultimately can change the way that we respond to the stressful situations. And so that's exactly what I teach now. And I'm so grateful that I got to that point and that I had that breaking point, and then I stepped back and I asked myself, what's going well and what can I enjoy teaching on? Like, what can I have fun with? Because when I can have fun with it, I can help you have fun with it. And then it even just sticks better, right? And so now my trainings are really centered around these different practices of things like gratitude, affirmations and positive statements and declarations, and journaling and breathing and stretching techniques and perspective building, and how these different practices can actually help you so much in the way that you take in the stressful information that you are inevitably going to experience. And so, my hope is that I can begin sharing more of this with you. I've kind of been in the trenches for years, facilitating my trainings and having fun. And, I just want to begin sharing more of this with y'all too. A lot of you guys know me from when I used to, I was a yoga teacher and I really enjoyed that. But I got into a space where I learned, I love to teach, right? And so facilitating these trainings and just sharing with you all more about how I use the Mako method for resilience, how I also use the Mako method to accomplish my goals and to manifest things that I want in my life, and to help you to create great days, right? And so if you are interested in learning more about the Mako method, you can go to themakomethod.com and you can actually download a free guide that has 50 actionable steps that you can take towards managing your stress, and it'll talk to you a little bit more about that framework. And further, of course, never forget that this is what I do for a living. So if you're interested in having a highly engaging and fun interactive training for your staff that can actually help them learn some different actionable steps and strategies that they can take towards managing their stress, please feel free to reach out. Let's talk and see if my resources are a good fit for your team, for your employees. So what I really just want to say is there are things that you can do throughout the day to manage your stress. And I'm so grateful that I had that day and that moment where I stepped back and I realized that there are things that we can do, and that, we don't have to be hopeless in our careers. And as we're serving other people, we can also make sure that we are serving ourselves so that we can show up and be more resilient, more engaged, and actually do what we were put here to do with a smile on our face, okay? So I hope that helps, and I look forward to diving into the Mako method with you more. Create a great day.